What was the inspiration for Daddy?
When the play premiered in London, I got to do this dazed interview about it. And I was like, I was not born with a daddy in any way, shape, or form. Like, this goes back to this whole like Nep kid thing. Like, I'm just like, I'm so over it. I think it's so boring because like, I literally went to high school with kids whose parents like and grandparents like had ownership of different people in my family, right? Because of actual slavery in Virginia, right? Or the fact that my family all worked at the factories, furniture factories that the kids in my private high school's parents all owned, which is like so psychotic. Anyway, so because of that, and because of the fact that I was able to rise beyond that space and like achieve all the things I've achieved, I have no, if your mom or your dad is whomever the fuck, like I could care less because like I will still beat you in this race, right? Or at least keep pace.
I like the TikToks where people are like, I'm a Nepo baby because my dad like whatever was like yes. worked at Panda Express and hired me.
It's so good. Yeah. It was based on a conversation I'd had with a straight guy at a party where he was telling me about this really like messed up sexual experience he had and how like this girl wanted him to like come into her house and like choke her and like beat her up a little bit, and it was totally consensual and it was the hottest thing that's ever happened to him. And I was like, that's weird. Also, like it's like not weird that she desired that or that like you engaged in it necessarily, but it's weird to me that you're telling a bunch of strangers at a party about this gleefully and also hinting very loudly about who this girl was. And also calling yourself a feminist because you went to Sarah Lawrence. Like all of these things
I
are
hate
ick.
Everything about this.
Yes. And so then I decided to make everyone uncomfortable. And I was like, what race was she? And he was like, what? And I was like, what race was she? And he was like, oh, she was white. And I was like, he was like, but I don't know what that has to do with it. I was like, well, how would you feel if it was a black girl? And she had like asked you to do all those things and wanted you to call her the N-word. Like, would you have felt as comfortable like telling us all about that story? He's like, no, because I would never do that. And I was like, why wouldn't you do that? And he was like, because. And then this black girl that was in the circle with us, she was like, but what if I get off on that? And then like we like had this really funny like exchange, all of us, about like what ifs of it all. And I was like, this is a play. I do think that there is a queer dynamic at play with straight people in the ways in which straight people lean into and also attempt to reject the gender structures that like the universe has placed upon us, right?
You're basically saying when you're, this is actually something I've talked about with my parents. My parents really are like heteronormative. Like yes. My dad is like the man and my mom's like, ooh la la. And I'm like, this is, it's so over the top. It's almost queer because yes. you're leaning so hard into these ideas that it's like, you're not even really, I mean, my parents are maybe a bad example, but I've thought yes. about them as an example of this. So I definitely understand what you're saying.
And then like the ways in which like, the ways in which we perform sexuality so often, mm-hmm. like I used to hear, not on purpose because it was just dorm, but I would hear my roommate having sex with girls and when I was in college, and his voice would go down like 7 octaves, like, yeah, you like that? And
it's
like,
so camp.
And their voice would go up 8 octaves, like, yeah, I love it. I love it. And I was like, no, why is this the performance? Like, I don't know why this is happening.
You're basically saying straight people perform gender more than queer people in during sex.
Yes.